Ladies and gentlemen, today I want to talk to you about the possibility of rethinking, about the opportunity to look at life's defeats not as the end of the road, but as the beginning of a new path leading to success. Our topic is rethinking failures, how to turn defeats into victories. We are all familiar with defeat. This is an inevitable side of life that concerns each of us. Some see them as a stigma, a complete failure. But what if we start to perceive them not as a failure, but as a valuable experience? What if these are actually opportunities hidden under the mask of temporary failures? First of all, we recognize that every defeat brings with it a lesson. Painful, but still a lesson. Disappointments and defeats are often the most powerful motivators, pushing us to self-development and introspection. And every defeat offers us a chance to stop and ask ourselves important questions. What went wrong? How can I fix this? How can I do better next time? And now the road to self-improvement opens up before us. By taking the lessons of defeats, we learn resilience and perseverance and find the strength to stand after each fall. This is a process that requires time, patience, and dedication. Let's take an example from history. Abraham Lincoln faced a series of setbacks in his life and career before becoming one of the greatest presidents of the United States. If he had allowed these defeats to determine his future, the history of the United States might have turned out differently. Lincoln showed us that even in the deepest defeats, there is an opportunity for greatness. Rethinking failures also requires us to get rid of fear. Fear is the biggest barrier to success. It paralyzes us, prevents us from taking risks and trying new things. Overcoming fear means freeing yourself from the chains that hinder personal growth. The next step in rethinking failures is to set goals and develop flexibility in achieving them. Goals provide direction, and flexibility allows you to adapt to circumstances and look for alternative ways to success. Greatness does not consist in never falling, but in getting up after each fall with renewed vigor. To transform defeats into victories, it is also important to surround yourself with a supportive community. Friends, family, mentors, they can offer the necessary support, advice, and motivation. Sometimes their presence alone can give us the strength to keep moving forward. And let not all attempts be successful, but each of them is a step towards self-knowledge, to the disclosure of their capabilities. Success is not the absence of defeats, but the ability to see in every failure a chance for growth and improvement. Remember, rethinking failures is a choice. The choice is to see every difficulty as an opportunity. The opportunity to become better, stronger, smarter. This choice can change your life, turning every defeat into a stumbling block on your path to success. Each of us faces setbacks from time to time. Sometimes they seem so large-scale and destructive that it seems impossible to recover from them. But know that it is at such moments that there is a huge potential for your personal growth and development. The question is always not how to avoid falling, but how we will rise after it. The first thing that is important to understand and accept is that failures are inevitable. This is part of the path to success. There is no person who has reached significant heights who has not faced setbacks along the way. The great minds of history, from Thomas Edison to Steve Jobs, repeatedly faced defeats before they achieved their greatest achievements. The key to their success is not that they avoided failures, but how they interpreted them and how they used the experience to grow. The second point to realize and accept is that failure is not the end. This is just a moment in your life, a moment that provides you with an opportunity for reflection, for rethinking, and for developing new strategies. Look at failure as an opportunity to learn, not as a sentence. Next, it is important to analyze the causes of failure, to understand what went wrong and why. This is not a call to blame yourself, but an invitation to self-reflection and self-knowledge. When you understand what led to defeat, you gain control of the situation. And this awareness gives you the power to change direction and act differently in the future. And finally, most importantly, rethinking failure can be your most powerful source of motivation. The moment when everything seems lost can be the starting point for your greatest achievement. Use this experience to ignite a fire in yourself that will fuel your will to win. Remember, your attitude towards failure can completely change your life. Failure is not a sign of your weakness or incompetence. This is a sign that you are taking risks, trying, learning, and growing. Don't be afraid of failure. Accept them as part of the path to success, rethink them, and turn them into a ladder that you will climb to your most cherished goals and dreams. Your victories are ahead of you, and every failure can only be a springboard on their way. Believe in yourself, learn from your mistakes, and always move forward. Your defeats can turn into your biggest victories. For many of us, the word failure seems to be something negative, something that needs to be avoided and avoided at all costs. But let's think about it in a different way. After all, it is through failures that we learn, grow, and become stronger. I suggest you look at failures as a gift that gives us unique experience and knowledge. The first step to rethinking our failures is recognition. Recognizing that failure is not the end, but only part of the process. Once we stop looking at failures as personal failures, we will discover the opportunity to learn from our mistakes and move forward. Remember all the great people of history. Each of them faced setbacks, but what makes them great? Their unwavering ability to see these failures as opportunities for growth and development. Having failed thousands of experiments, said, I didn't fail, I just found 10,000 ways that don't work. This is an amazing illustration of how rethinking the perception of failures can lead to the greatest achievements. Friends, rethinking failures begins with changing our internal dialogue. Words have great power. Instead of telling yourself, I failed, say, I'm learning. This simple substitution of words can radically change our attitude to what happened and open the way to personal development. Next, let go of the fear of failure. Fear is the greatest obstacle to success. He forces us to abandon new ideas and experiences just because we are afraid of a possible failure. However, if you look at things realistically, it becomes clear that most failures are not disasters, but only temporary obstacles. It is also important to surround yourself with support. Communicating with friends, colleagues, and mentors who understand your purpose and believe in you can greatly help you stand up to setbacks and keep moving forward. This creates an environment in which failure is not the end of the world, but only a step on the path to success. Finally, it is important to celebrate your victories, even the smallest ones. It helps to keep you motivated and remind you that despite all the difficulties, you are on the right track. Dear friends, I believe that each of you is capable of turning your failures into victories. Look at them as opportunities for growth. Change your inner dialogue, let go of fear, surround yourself with support, and be sure to celebrate your successes. Let every failure be your personal guide to success. You deserve to make your dreams come true, and I believe that you have the power to make it possible. Forward to the greatest achievements, full of enthusiasm and self-confidence. It is also important to realize that failure does not define you. It does not determine your value, your abilities, or your future achievements. You are not a loser simply because you failed to achieve a certain goal. You are a person on the way to success, in the process of which you sometimes have to deal with deviations and delays. Last but not least, keep moving forward. Let your aspiration and your dreams be stronger than your fear of failure. Yes, there may be other obstacles ahead, but it is your actions in response to these obstacles that will determine your path. With each failure, with each fall and subsequent rise, you move forward. You are developing, you are bringing yourself closer to the version of yourself that is capable of achieving any goal. Yes, the path to success is rarely direct. It is often replete with sharp turns, ascents, and descents, but every setback along the way is nothing more than a reminder that the greatest victories often follow the hardest battles. Remember this and go ahead with your head held high. Your failures don't define you. They just prepare you for your future victories. And remember, the only way to never succeed is to stop trying. So keep moving forward, learning from your mistakes, and remember, every failure is just another step on the way to your success.